Danger. Once you get into the desert, there's no going back, said the camel driver. And when you can't go back, you have to worry only about the best way of moving forward. The rest is up to Allah, including the danger.
Good morning, Young Kings. Time for your more motivation. Decided to jump on this morning. About to run a few errands, pay some bills, but I wanted to get back into this series of reforming our reality. So as I was in the gym this morning, I realized that there's a part that I really skipped over when I established this series of reforming our reality, because we're going to walk in to our higher version of ourselves. And a higher version of ourselves doesn't mean that you are better than the next person. It means that you are evolving into a higher version of yourself. So you're better than you were yesterday, and then you're gradually working on so your tomorrow could be even brighter than it is today. So it's not a comparison to you saying, okay, I didn't learn this much, so now all of a sudden I'm better than this person. That is never the objective of my videos, to make you better than someone. Well, let me correct that, because I want you to grow from some of the wisdoms and some of the setbacks I have. So I want you to have a head start on some of the things that I had to learn the hard way versus some things that you were able to learn from these videos. So I do want you to be better than I was. So that's my objective, but not better than the person next to you. It's just becoming a higher version of yourself. Because I'm 46, and some things that I learned in my 40s, had I learned in my 20s, I could have been so much further ahead. But I had to go through and lead the way in order for you to go to the next level. Like our ancestors, we're in Black History Month. There's some things that we are able to benefit from, some of the liberties, the freedoms that our ancestors didn't have. So we're standing on the backs of our ancestors on being able to attain a higher version of ourselves, because that used to be restricted. It used to be forbidden for us to read, to learn, develop, and to grow. And the same thing that they hid from us, from our ancestors, is some of the same things that young kings are running from. They're running from an education. They're running from developing into the higher self to be actualized to what they were created to be, as opposed to what they are. But anyways, let's get back into reform our reality. So we got to deal with things as they actually exist, not from an imaginary state. So when I said the title of this video is going to be Establish Your Real Estate, like when you go to purchase a house or some land, they call it real estate because it's something tangible, something you can touch, something you can feel. Now, this world has been perplexed with the social media effect of what's being projected out there, and what's out there that looks like it's all glitz and glam, but the reality is that it's not. Life is meant to be lived. Like, this journey is meant to be traveled. So a lot of people don't have homes. They don't own real estate because they're so busy in their fake world, trying to look like they're established versus be established. So when we're establishing our reality, you got to start with reality, the way things actually exist. And there's another thing, a thing that is actually experienced, seen, it comes to actually seeing and experiencing things. And you got to be careful with this type of video, because I'm not taking away from faith, especially faith in the Most High. It talks about faith as the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So there's an element of being able to believe something before you see it. And I'm not subtracting from that, because I operate in a lot of faith. When I talk about reality, I'm talking about analyzing and assessing what you actually see that's right in front of you. Sometimes people's mind can be so distant into the future that they neglect and they trip over something that's tangible right there in front of them, because they're looking for the grand. People are not into simplistic ideals now. They think if it's supposed to be great, that means it has to be complicated. But the beauty of life is in some of the simplest things. And you could be distracted by a lot of things by looking for just that one grand thing. And you realize once you get that thing, it doesn't really answer life problems. So deal with things the way they actually are, not the way you want things to be, not the way you hope things to be, not even the way you pray things to be, because those things are not introduced into this physical world until you deal with what actually is and can take action to bring those things into reality. The things you struggle with today, you struggle with before. This is nothing new to you, what you're struggling with. Your struggle may be different than mine, may be different than the next person. But there's a element when we go to deal with problems or deal with situations, we have a desired outcome, a way we want things to be. And that could lead you down a slippery slope of overlooking what actually is. There's several setbacks that I had in life because I was married to an ideal of a situation, an outcome that I wanted it to be. And when it wasn't lining up for that situation, I would still try to work that situation to get my intended outcome. Instead of dealing with what reality was, I tried to make it what I wanted it to be. And when you are that blind to seeing what actually is, then you'll get to a point where you're missing red flags and you're missing things, and you'll be delayed and you'll be distracted. You'll be disappointed because you'll get to a point where you are ignoring the visible cues. It's like the man that was stranded in the ocean, and he prayed to God and asked God to send him help. That he went pray for God to help him. And so then a period of time goes by, a cruise ship come by, they throw over a raft, and he says, "No, don't worry about it. My God's going to take care of me." So then the cruise ship continues on. So then there's some fishermen out there, they're fishing, they see he's struggling, they say, "Hey, get aboard, I can help you." And he says, "No, my God is going to save me." So then the Coast Guard comes and they try to rescue the individual, and he refuses to help, and he said, "No, my God is going to save me." So after the 3 attempts to save this guy, the guy ended up dying. So he gets to heaven, he starts to ask the Most High, like, "Hey God, why didn't you help me?" And sometimes, the God said, "Well, I sent helpers your way. I sent the cruise ship, sent the fishermen, and I sent the Coast Guard to help you." And the moral of that story is that sometimes we can ignore the physical thing that's there to help us, and we're looking for something great, for God to part to sea again and for us to walk on dry land. And that may not be the case. That may not be a reality. So you got to be able to deal with the things that they are, because I recognize that that's your true starting point. That's not your destination, but that's your starting point for you to base all things off of. Like when you go on a trip and you plug in something in your GPS, and let's say you want to go from Michigan to Florida. Let's say it goes to Disney World. When you plug in Disney World, that's going to be your destination. But it's going to ask you for your starting point. It wants to know, where are you beginning at? And if you don't type in that starting point to where you actually are, then those directions go be irrelevant. Like if you type in your starting point that you're in Atlanta, then it's going to give you a separate direction from Atlanta to Florida. But then you still got to get from Michigan down to Atlanta. So your starting point is essential, and your starting point is your reality. Like what is real today? What is going to be, what is something tangible that's giving you clues of what you need to do next? So it's very important. As I was going through this reality thing, I realized like DMX, the late DMX, right before he passed, he did an interview, and he would say, "Trust people to be who they are." And, that's so significant. And especially if you're dealing with reality, trust people to be who they are. So he says, trust a liar to lie to you. You know, they are not operating outside of what they've been conditioned to do. That's what they're going to do. You know, it says trust a thief to steal from you. Like when somebody steals from you and it's a known thief, they're operating in who they are at that moment. And then trust a con artist to try to con you. So if you are more into what people say versus what they do and what you actually see, then you can be deceived. But if you are dealing with what is actually real, then it's going to be hard to deceive you. In this reforming our reality and establishing reality, I'll give you a trick. It's not really a trick, it's just a real thing. We're talking about kingship. We're talking about aspiring to be a higher version of ourselves. We're not talking about being better than someone else, a higher version of ourselves. Start walking, talking, and acting like a king. When you start being real, a lot of fake stuff is going to show up. A lot of fake love, and people are going to tell you their true intentions of how they feel about you. They're going to start saying, "Who do you think you are? You changed. You different. You think you better than the next man," or something of that. These are nothing that you said out your mouth. This is just you start walking in a higher version of yourself, and you're going to shake the continents of everyone around you, because some of them are not going to be willing to let you grow to be a higher version of yourself, because they're not able to control, manipulate that version of you. They're not able to benefit as much from the higher version. Not to say that you're not blessed to be a blessing, because my life has truly been a blessing to myself and others. But when you start your ascension to walking in a higher version of yourself, people are going to remind you of how low you are, that you're not better than the next man, that you failed at this and that you're going to be that, and they're going to try to place these restrictions on you. So the fastest way to tell who is the liability, start treating yourself like an asset. I was with my nephew one day, and he coined that term, treating himself like an asset. And that has stuck with me. It's like, you know what? That is exactly what you need to do. When you start treating yourself like an asset, watch all them liabilities come around in a form of a relationship that you're probably not supposed to be in, that's going to be restrictive, in a form of some friends that are going to try to enforce their limitations on you and their boundaries and trying to say, hey, you don't need to be doing that. I remember I got an opportunity to go to flight school, to fly helicopters. And I thought everybody would be excited for me. And I was excited. So I started sharing this with others. And I realized they didn't possess the same excitement that I had for this opportunity. They were actually trying to discourage me, saying like, "Who do you think you are? You already got a degree. Why would you want to go fly? Why would you spend this time away from your family? You need to be focusing on this. You need to be trying to do something else. You don't need to be going out and doing that. Who do you think you're white? Are you trying to prove something to somebody?" So I had all this excitement in me. And as soon as I shared it with other people, I realized that they couldn't see the vision. They couldn't see me actually becoming a pilot. The same guy that failed second grade, that barely graduated high school, that now had a degree, they thought I was supposed to kind of plateau right there. I was forced to be living within the confines of their limitations towards me. They couldn't see me ascending to a higher version. So they thought that meant that I thought I was better than someone, or that I was trying to be white, or that I was trying to do something to compete with somebody other than myself. As I mentioned, these videos are designed not for you to be better than anyone, but it's to realize that no one is better than you, regardless of what they attain in life. You know, everyone has been blessed with 24 hours a day until the Most High decided to cease time. So you got to get to an understanding of what your reality is and establish who is your real core group of individuals. Because a lot of people are running around with fake friends, with fake love, you know, with fake security in their job. Like, that job that you love, they don't love you. You know, you'll be replaced, you know, before, let's say you were to die, you'll be replaced before your funeral. The advertisement is going to go out the next day, and there's people that's waiting to get in line to be where you are right now. The Army, you know, Army song, the Army goes rolling along. Like, just because my 28 years of service is done doesn't mean like the Army is not going to continue to operate. They're still operating as an Army right now, even without me, regardless of what I accomplish and attain during that period of time. So you got to understand, like, dealing with reality, you know, is dealing with your real estate. So establish your real estate. And the thing about dreams, because you got to realize people have dreams. And I think dreams are important. And I'm not saying wake up and you deal with your reality, you ignore everything that happened in your dream. But whether it be your American dream, whether it be a pipe dream, or whether it be a wet dream, regardless of what happens in those dreams or the excitement you have, those are just still in the different realms. They haven't been introduced into this physical reality. So whether it be American dream, pipe dream, or wet dream, you got to wake up and take action in order for that thing to be a reality. Like, dreams are just introductions to the possibility, to the realm of possibilities that can exist in this world. But you got to wake up. And then when it talks about realms, realms is another word for kingdom. So kingdom introductions. And they're there for opportunity for you to take advantage of. But you got to wake up in order for that to be real. And I conclude on this. Like, I struggled at an early age with stop peeing in the bed. I'm not embarrassed about it. It was a reality. I peed in the bed to about 11 or 12. And the issue I had with peeing in the bed, as I may have mentioned on the previous video, is that my dream felt so real. Like, in my dream, I was actually getting up out of my sleep and going to the bathroom and using the bathroom. That's how real my dream was. And next thing you know, my bed is wet. I was still dreaming. I woke up to a wet bed. And there's opportunities in there, like some of the dreams I knew it wasn't, but there was another dream that I had that I was in the pool. And I'm thinking, okay, we in the pool. I'll just pee in the pool. And I woke up in the pool, a pee. So the thing about it is, like, I realized that those things were happening and they were like real in my mind, but it was just a facade. Kind of like that social media effect. It's just a facade. People are out there posting, but they're laying in beds of pee. And until you get up and you deal with reality and you're able to steward everything properly, you would never get to your destination if you don't start to what is. So you got to wake up in order to accomplish your dreams, because it starts from where you are. Not where you want it to be, not where you hope it to be, but it starts from exactly where you are. So until you come to terms with that, you would never accomplish anything great. See things for what they are. But even though you see them for what they are, that doesn't stop you from demanding more of it and expecting more. So when you start seeing things for what they are, you can deal with them for what they are. But then you start introducing the things that were introduced in your dream state into reality, and you start walking those things out. And now you bring those things over into the physical in order to be lived out. So as you reform your reality and you establish your real estate, And all those things, you got to be real. Real is the root word of all that. Because real recognize real. In order to be a king, you need to be real. Be well, young kings.